Part 107. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1061. After the giant hand grabbed the light column of the mind, it suddenly pulled it downward, and the light of the mind was directly torn off in an instant. The originally invisible and immaterial light was also torn off. This was simply an incredible scene, but it was so real. The rules in the light seemed to be torn apart at this moment, and this impact was instantly transmitted from the fracture to every corner of the entire void. It impacted all the creators in the Golden Palace. The backlash of the broken rules directly impacted the bodies of these creators. The projections of some creators collapsed in an instant, and even the image could not be maintained, and they disappeared from the Golden Palace. The Emperor also suddenly shook his body, and countless cracks appeared on his body like golden light in an instant. His face showed extreme horror. He had not experienced such terrible damage for many years. In just a moment, the attack from the Life Alliance was shattered. In the strange land, the huge palm tore the light of the mind and rules, and directly pulled the torn light of the mind to sink under the strange land. The part of the strange land that had originally become a black hole was instantly restored under the majestic strange power. An area with overlapping mountains appeared on the original plane, and it seemed to have become a forest. But this forest was extremely strange and was still slowly creeping. Everything was calm, as if nothing had happened. A terrifying collision, as if all this was just an illusion. A battle in the air ended in an instant. The ending ended with the defeat of the Life Alliance. In the twisted land of the strange land, Lin Yi's true destiny always shrouded the Wanchaiwu. This place is different from other strange places, and it must be covered with true destiny at all times. Otherwise, everything will be destroyed, especially now. The strange power in this twisted area has also changed, and it has the power to affect the spiritual level. Lin Yi's eyes were fixed on the void, and he saw the defeat of the Life Alliance. With a slight sneer, the Wanchaiwu flashed again and disappeared here. When he appeared again, he had come to a strange seashore. This is where he first encountered the invincible member of the Void Fate Committee. At this time, his thoughts have been connected to countless notes in the void. The war just now has been seen by countless creators of life nests. They naturally caught the mysterious power fluctuations emitted by Lin Yi, which was the breath on the notes in their hands. In an instant, these creators made a decision and saw hope. Then, they left their answers on the notes. At the same time, a smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. With a slight movement of his thoughts, all the notes ignited without wind in an instant. Then, an invisible storm took place in the dark. One by one, the creators entered the spiritual level, and in order to survive, they chose to take the last step. These beings can grow to the current level, naturally with countless accumulations. The reason why they did not step out was just because they had various concerns. Now someone has helped them solve the last concern, and naturally began to make the final breakthrough. Lin Yi's clone also entered the spiritual level at the same time. A huge darkness, where everything is invisible, unless you know the coordinates of the other party. Otherwise, you have to travel constantly to meet by chance. But now he has the help of the power of the note, and he can easily lock his target. Soon a thought communicated with him, hoping that he could fulfill the contract. Lin Yi's eyes flashed slightly, and a light of eternal nature spread out from his body. Under the power of the majestic spiritual wave, he arrived at an unknown coordinate in an instant. The eternal light, driven by the spiritual wave, was filled with an unimaginable power, and instantly enveloped this mysterious existence. The next moment, the true destiny was activated, and the other party left the spiritual level and returned to the void. It's just that it takes a while to cross the distance in the void to return to his life nest. And its existence seemed to have started, and then countless beings sent Lin Yi a request to fulfill the contract. A ray of light flashed from his body, descending to one coordinate point after another, pulling all these creators back to the void. Thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of beings are sent back to the void every moment. At this moment, every second that passes, Lin Yi will have hundreds of thousands more helpers in the future. All creators who have broken through the third level of the mind have agreed to his conditions and will take action once at a certain moment in the future. Unless they face death, they cannot retreat. Through the mysterious and strange power that binds them, all these creators can feel the terrifying power hanging above their heads. And all this happens silently, and the Emperor, who is called the Executor, and the monitors at the mental level did not notice this change. Because the mental level is isolated from everything, unless you voluntarily bloom your power and let others notice your existence. Otherwise, it is impossible to detect what happened at the mental level. One by one, the creators who broke through the realm quickly returned to their life nests. During the time they were away, their life nests were facing the attack of the harvesters. Completely in a passive defensive state, people with spiritual power have become the main force of defense. After all, only those with spiritual power can reach the Reaper, and no one else can do anything. And with their return, an alliance belonging to them was quickly connected in secret. Whispers echoed throughout the void. These united creators began to drive the life nests where they were slowly gathered together. An anti-life alliance organization is taking shape, and the pattern of the void is about to change silently. The moment the life nests under the anti-life alliance began to gather, they directly attracted the attention of the life alliance. But the last time they launched an attack on the weird power, all members of the life alliance suffered huge damage. So no one is willing to take action now, even if a new alliance is being established, they just plan to wait and see. Faced with this situation, the Executor King has no choice. As the leader of the Life Alliance, he has the right to convene a parliament and the right to make the final choice with one vote, but he does not have the right to force all members. Although he has the ultimate spiritual power of the fourth layer, it does not mean invincibility. It just means that in terms of realm, he has surpassed the strong man of the third level of spiritual power. Realm does not mean invincibility. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1062. A strong person who possesses the ultimate mental power of the fourth level may be able to withstand hundreds or tens of millions of strong persons of the third level of mental power at the same time. But it absolutely cannot resist hundreds of millions, billions, or tens of billions. There is an upper limit to any power. However, the Executor Emperor will not just look at it like this. The purpose of creating this life alliance is to guide the direction of the alliance and influence all the powerful people born in this era. The anti-life alliance suddenly appeared, which would greatly threaten their plan. He could not imagine the consequences if the plan failed. A ray of invisible light entered the spiritual level and appeared in front of the monitor. The monitor looked at the projection of the Executor Emperor that appeared in front of him. I've seen what's going on below. The members of the Anti-Life Alliance all appeared under the influence of the mysterious Lin Yi. If this continues, you will be at a complete disadvantage. Today, the number of the other party has grown to billions of members, and this is just one void day that has passed. The monitor said gloomily. The Executor Emperor said slowly, "What do you think we should do next? The plan must not fail, otherwise you should know what awaits us. Now there are two methods. The first is to directly wake up the law enforcers and let them destroy the Anti-Life Alliance. The second one triggered a weird craze. Start the war directly. Although there will be some losses, our plan will be able to continue. And the Anti-Life Alliance will be suppressed. Even having to blend in with us. Both plans are good and bad, what do you think?" The Executor Emperor took a deep breath. "My suggestion is to trigger a full-scale war. The Executor is our ultimate power and must not be touched lightly. They are weapons made to clean up the final mess. Activating it now is equivalent to showing our trump card. If others are prepared in the future, it will not be that simple to be effective again. So the best way is to detonate the war between weirdness and void in advance. After the real war breaks out, I will guide these strong men who have just broken through the third level of mind to join the Life Alliance. The Dragon Slayer will eventually become a dragon. This is the nature of life. The monitor nodded, then let's start executing. The executor emperor nodded, and then the eyes of the main body located in the Golden Palace narrowed slightly. The next moment, a strange jade token appeared in his hand. This jade metal is densely covered with strange lines. These lines finally converged on the center of the jade tablet, and there seemed to be something hidden inside the jade tablet. There was a hint of indifference in his eyes, and then with a gentle squeeze, the jade plaque turned into powder in an instant. At the same time, something extremely terrifying happened. The strange place, where the twisted realm is located in the huge abyss in the center. There is a white barrier at the bottom, which seals everything and isolates the inside and outside. At this time, countless strange patterns appeared on this mysterious barrier. Then, the barrier suddenly shattered and turned into dots of starlight, completely melting away. The next moment, endless gray-white smoke spewed out from the abyss, filling this strange place like a volcanic eruption. The speed at which these gray mist spreads is extremely fast, covering hundreds of millions of kilometers or even trillions of kilometers in the blink of an eye. In the House of Everything, there was total silence at this time, except for the fluctuations of life in the House of Time. Endless gray mist came from a distant place and directly enveloped the speech. Wan Chaiwu was also shrouded in this gray mist. Lin Yi immediately noticed the problem here. There was a trace of solemnity in his eyes. This is really very troublesome. Lin Yi's body had already noticed the changes outside, and the sudden gray mist was very terrifying. After coming into contact with the gray mist, Wan Chaiwu changed drastically. The House of Everything seems to be getting completely weird. In the past, the House of All Things became very dangerous and weird just because of all kinds of weird items. But now because of these gray-white mist, it has begun to transform into strange objects. The most frightening thing is that all the strange items in the House of All Things are truly integrated with the House of All Things under the influence of this gray-white mist. A super-large strange object appeared in the world. The strange Rubik's Cube has officially become the true core of the entire external world, with the extremely rich and weird essence rolling inside it. But at the same time, the majestic spiritual wave has instantly penetrated into the weird core, directly swallowing the weird essence and replacing the existence of the weird essence. After realizing that the weirdness itself is the residue of spiritual impurities, Lin Yi already understood why his spiritual waves could easily corrode strange objects and use them. Because Lingbo is a higher quality spiritual power, its actual essence is also a side of spiritual power to a certain extent, and it is more powerful than weirdness. The power of the spiritual wave quickly spread throughout the Wanchi house, and the weird atmosphere in the Wanchi house dissipated a lot in an instant. And the House of Everything itself is filled with a faint layer of strange power, blocking the gray fog from the outside world. At this time, the strange place seemed to become more terrifying, with gray mist filling the air everywhere. Some inexplicable, more terrifying existences seemed to be appearing around, making the strange place more dangerous. In the void, the strange sea is also undergoing great changes. The liquid on the sea surface is boiling wildly, and a wisp of gray mist is gushing out of it. Like a fountain, it quickly spreads to the void above the sea surface. At a glance, the bottom of the void has become a grayish-white mist. This grayish-white mist spreads quickly, just like a sea of clouds and mist, steadily spreading upward from the bottom of the void. The rolling clouds and mist can be seen anywhere in the void. It's like a real sea, and the waves of this mist are rolling terribly. It seems to tear everything apart and destroy everything. Everything is submerged by this grayish-white smoke, and just looking at it makes you feel fear from the heart. An invisible and inexplicable influence spreads more obviously to various places in the void. The void city floats quietly in the area near the center of the void. This is the area ruled by the Life Alliance, with huge war fortresses floating around. They combine with each other to form an unimaginable huge building complex. Through the void demand rules, they merge into one and build a huge super war fortress. It is so huge that it is unimaginable, like a myth. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 1063. This kind of war fortress is densely distributed in various places in the center of the void. Their only function is to protect the life inside and resist the attack of the harvester. At the same time, they observe the birth of a huge world in the center of the void. The Void City is just a small one among the huge war fortresses, and it can even be said to be insignificant. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. All the huge fortresses are connected through the rule system of eternal nature, forming a huge rule cycle and a powerful defense system. These huge structures will not conflict with each other due to different power systems. And with the huge rule system barrier, it is almost impossible for external threats to approach. But at this time, an inexplicable influence has gradually spread here, silently, even the rules cannot stop it. Almost all the fortresses of civilizations, no matter how big or small, will be affected. The Void City is naturally no exception, and some weird things began to happen. In a bar, this is where humanoid carbon-based life likes to come. After the Void City fled into the desert void in the past, causing the life in the Void City to be destroyed by the ancient gods, the Void City was the only remaining race. These remaining races, the number of which is only a few hundred, and the number of which is only a few thousand, are almost the last hope of their own race. Therefore, small groups based on races have gradually formed in the Void City, with the purpose of increasing the probability of survival in the Void City. Fortunately, the chairman of the Void Fate Committee of the Void City has entered the mysterious eternal level. And he has also become a strong man at the spiritual level, which can ensure that everyone is not invaded by external forces. In addition, the Void City has countless civilizations and technologies, which can absorb the energy and materials in the void to create the resources needed by the city, and can be completely self-sufficient. However, the world is changing too fast. In a short period of time, countless life nests have appeared. One great civilization after another was born, making the people of the entire Void City a little overwhelmed. Countless strong men emerged, and these survivors of the void were as small as ants in this huge world. All people lived cautiously, no longer showing off their power and spirit like in the past. In the past, the Void City was also a giant in the original void, but the gap now has caused countless lives to feel depressed. The threat of survival always looms over everyone, and no one knows whether the world will change more tomorrow. Can the Void City still exist among these countless civilizations? At this time, this bar is where a group of carbon-based humanoid lives gather. They complain, talk and laugh here, and find the depression in their hearts. There are not many people in this bar, about a dozen, divided into 3 tables, all enjoying fine wine, bragging, chatting, and exchanging information with each other. Looking for opportunities to become stronger. At this time, no one noticed that a figure appeared silently on another table next to them. This figure was shrouded in a white robe, and long black hair rolled down from the robe, like a waterfall straight to the waist. Its appearance was not noticed by anyone. It exuded some kind of strange power, making countless people automatically ignore its existence. But at this time, this mysterious figure was emitting a trace of inexplicable fluctuations. This fluctuation was very strange, spreading throughout the bar bit by bit. The voices of the dozen or so lives who were talking next to them suddenly changed. I tell you, I killed Balag when I went on an adventure last time. Who made him look down on me all the time, said a humanoid creature with black hair, carbon black all over, and scales all over his body, with a hint of intoxication on his face. Opposite him was a red-skinned, long-eared sturdy man, who roared angrily, "What? Did you kill Balig? Axe, don't you know he is my friend? How dare you kill him?" Axe looked at the red-skinned, long-eared sturdy man with cold eyes, and a weird smile appeared on his twisted face. "Friend? He is also having an affair with your wife. Do you want to be your wife's husband with him?" When the red-skinned, long-eared muscular man heard what Axe said, his face suddenly changed from red to blue, and then to purple, as if he was extremely angry. But he did not notice that along with his anger, the hair all over his body began to wriggle strangely. Then the hair began to grow continuously, as if something was about to get out of his body. Shut up, ah!" A terrifying and strange voice roared out of his mouth. As if sensing the immense anger, its hair suddenly came out of his body. At this time, he was left with only a piece of red skin, which fell directly to the ground. Countless hairs turned into a ball, and the strange voice belonging to the red-skinned, long-eared situation sounded. "Shut up, shut up." The cold voice instantly filled the entire bar. Something strange happened, and Axe still had a strange face, not caring about the strange changes that happened to the other party. "I won't stop talking, what can you do? Ha ha, ha, you are a coward. Forever a coward." Not only him, but everyone else in the tavern was also laughing strangely. Laughing at this humanoid being made up of countless hairs, the whole scene looked so strange and terrifying. And the next moment, the figure made up of hairs seemed to burst out with boundless anger. "Kill, kill, kill, you, ah!" As soon as the voice fell, the strange figure made up of countless hairs rushed towards Axe on the opposite side. The hairs turned into countless lines, and instantly covered all the people at the tables here. These people were entangled by the hairs, and these hairs were drilling into their bodies from every pore on the surface of their bodies. But these people seemed to have nothing happened, still smiling strangely and making terrifying laughter. He he he, he he he. The next moment, there were 4 people at this table, and their bodies all exploded, and countless hairs spread out from their bodies. These hairs pounced on the guests at other tables, and those guests also laughed strangely and opened their arms to welcome these things to drill in. In just a few minutes, all the guests in the bar were penetrated by the hairs, and then collapsed and grew more hairs. In this process, no one resisted, as if they were all willing to become the hairs. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Luan Tianji. Chapter 1064. After eroding all the life here, countless hairs gathered at the feet of the white-robed figure. These hairs seemed to have life, crawling up the white-robed figure little by little, and then connected to his long black hair. Countless hairs finally merged into the long black hair, and the whole bar became empty, and nothing existed. After countless hairs merged into the long hair of this strange existence, the other party's hair did not swell, it was still so soft and beautiful. Everything seemed to be just an illusion, and only a dozen shriveled skins were left in the bar. Those life forms that were still talking and laughing just now have all disappeared. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. The strange white-robed figure slowly stood up, and his body passed directly through the table in front of him, just like an illusory shadow, and did not exist. It seemed to want to go outside the bar. At this moment, a wave of spiritual power and eternal nature shrouded the place. A force directly imprisoned the mysterious white robe. The next moment, the majestic power gathered in the imprisonment, twisting everything inside. The mysterious white robe's strange existence also collapsed directly under the action of this force, turning into a pure strange essence. This wisp of strange essence is offsetting the power that destroys the strangeness. In the end, the strange essence was completely consumed by the pure spiritual power and eternal nature. The president sat in the central palace, his face becoming more and more gloomy. Just in a few minutes, 38 strange phenomena appeared in the Void City. They caused the death of hundreds of life forms in just a dozen seconds. This terrifying lethality shocked him, completely surpassing the strange phenomena in the past. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. The strange power can actually break through the eternal nature of the rule blockade. It manifests directly in the Void City. Moreover, the essence of these strange existences seems to have undergone amazing changes, becoming infinitely close to spiritual power. It seems that Lin Yi's speculation is correct. The essence of the strange is really spiritual power. But why in the distant past, the strange essence did not show this kind of spiritual influence? Could it be that the most essential strange power has always been hidden in the deeper part of the strange land and has never appeared? It should be affected by some power. This most essential strange power has erupted. In an instant, the president thought of the twisted area of the strange land, where there is an abyss at the deepest part. There is a barrier under the abyss, which seems to prevent the deeper weirdness from appearing. Now think about it, the seal may be the strange power that can interfere with the spiritual level. But why did it erupt at this time? The president's mind immediately recalled various recent events. Finally, the picture was fixed on the Life Alliance's attack on the strange land. Could it be that the Life Alliance stimulated the outbreak of this power? Did it break the mysterious seal? There were countless puzzles in his mind. But the president knew one thing: the real disaster had begun. In the void, the gray-white smoke in the lower part continued to rise like a sea of clouds. It gradually approached the lowest group of life nests until it submerged them. This is a life nest belonging to the Life Alliance, and the life nest is slowly moving towards the center of the void. It will take a lot of time to reach the center of the void. At this time, this life nest was shrouded in endless gray-white mist. Just when the gray-white mist submerged this life nest, the entire Life Alliance lost contact with this life nest. In this gray-white mist, there seems to be some kind of power that can isolate all information transmission. This is a life nest composed of an ocean world. Trillions of independent ocean worlds are ruled by one race. The original unified dynasty had its own system, but at this time the gray-white mist enveloped every world. All the worlds have become isolated islands in the gray-white mist. They have no way to connect with other worlds. The strange gray-white mist seems to have a strong interference. At this time, in a small ocean world at the border, in a huge palace under the sea, the king of this world is holding a meeting. A brilliant beam of light rises from the bottom of the sea and is connected with the rules of the whole world. The beam of light was born from the trident in the hand of the king, which is a weapon given by the creator of this world. With a ruler close to the weapon, the rules of the whole world can be controlled, thus bursting out with immense power. This power can resist foreign enemies, eliminate internal rebellion, and allow the king to enjoy an undisputed ruling position. At the same time, the world is filled with gray mist, and the king has felt threatened. The life in this world is a deep-sea fisherman. They have a huge fish head and a mouth full of sharp teeth. But they have a high degree of intelligence, a humanoid body, and a strong bloodline power. At this time, as the power of the entire world was driven, a barrier formed by the rules of the life nest was formed outside the world. But a terrible thing happened. These barriers of rules could not block these gray-white mists. They were like ghosts, lightly passing through the rule barriers. Rushed into this world like smoke. Something seemed to be flickering in the gray mist. In just a short time, this world was completely shrouded in gray-white mist. At this time, in the palace of this world, the king of the fishmen showed solemnity in his eyes. The trident in his hand directly mobilized the rules of 4 weeks and enveloped the entire palace. The extremely rich rules slightly blocked the erosion of the mist. All the fishmen, warriors, princes, and ministers in the palace were full of fear. They felt the pressure like water coming at them, making their bodies tremble instinctively. They did not realize that at this time, the entire palace seemed to have a trace of gray-white mist invading it. These mists were integrated into the building materials, and the entire palace seemed to be undergoing strange changes. A prince, a minister, dressed in gorgeous clothes, was leaning against a golden pillar behind him. He did not notice that a strange shadow emerged from the golden pillar. The shadow spread out countless tentacles, instantly wrapping the prince's whole body. Then it dragged it into the golden pillar and finally swallowed it up. Others in the palace also noticed this scene, showing fear and quickly moving away from here. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1065. Something strange, Xuanhuan was swallowed. Someone, help me. Something strange is coming. The voices of fear came one after another, and the whole palace quickly became lively. The fisherman king also saw this scene, and his heart was cold. He raised the trident in his hand and pointed at the golden pillar of the hall. A terrifying rule flashed, and the golden pillar collapsed, twisted, and became grotesque. The strange golden pillar shattered, revealing countless shriveled flesh and blood. Xuanhuan, who was swallowed, seemed to have been sucked dry. And under the destruction of the rules, it turned into fragments. This scene made everyone feel cold, and this was just the beginning. Ah, help me. A strange bloody mouth suddenly opened on the ground. It swallowed a prince and minister in an instant. Crunch. A strange chewing sound sounded, and blue blood flew out of the body, splashing all over the faces of the fishmen around. All the fishmen showed fear on their faces, and the fisherman king howled angrily. Damn it, how dare you! He waved the trident in his hand, and the violent power of rules rushed towards the strange phenomena that appeared in the palace. The power of rules was very strong, and the entire palace was smashed to pieces in an instant. But these pink things quickly mutated, and they were not really destroyed. Sharp thorns suddenly rose from the ground and directly pierced most of the people in the palace. At the same time, the sharp thorns that pierced these fishermen ignited strange flames. All the fishermen were burned to ashes in pain and wailing. At this time, a pair of huge metal arms rose straight from the ground and grabbed the fisherman king. The fisherman king was furious, waving the trident in his hand frantically, and killing the two giant hands. His strength is completely comparable to hundreds of Tianxiandao level strongmen, and this blow is simply crushing. But he had already seen that, except for himself, other fishmen were no match for these strange phenomena. He could no longer care about anything else, and waved his power wildly, and his figure flashed to rush out of the palace. But something happened to surprise him. Its trident brought a majestic rule power, but this time it did not destroy the two giant hands. The two hands seemed to carry mysterious power, and the light of the rule shattered as soon as it touched the metal giant hands. Then, before the Fishman King could react, the two metal giant hands had already grabbed its body in an instant. No. Ah! He only had time to let out a scream, and his body was directly crushed by the two giant hands. Countless tiny metal arms stretched out from these two huge metal arms and covered it densely. Crack, crack, crack. The strange crushing sound continued to sound, and the crushed flesh and blood were still wriggling, as if they wanted to gather again and grow out. It was impossible for an existence of his level to die easily, and it was very simple to regenerate flesh and blood. But these metal arms sealed every corner of his body. Even those tiny hands had sharp mouth parts, which quickly devoured his crushed flesh and blood. The trident made a strange sound of crackling under the kneading of the two giant hands, and twisted into a ball. In just 1 minute, there was nothing between the two giant hands, and everything was swallowed up. At this time, this phenomenon occurred in every corner of this world. All the fish people in this world suffered from terrifying attacks and were destroyed in various mutated substances and phenomena. In just 1 hour, this world has become a weird place. All matter, energy, and even time and space have mutated, and this world has become a huge weird tumor. And this change is spreading to this submerged life nest. Trillions of worlds are all heading for destruction in the weird smoke. Only the largest world in the center, which exudes infinite spiritual light, can resist the erosion from the gray-white fog. But this piece of spiritual light cannot penetrate the barrier of the gray-white smoke and cover the entire life nest. The huge spiritual light, shaking madly, rushed to the upper layer with this huge world. The world was rising rapidly, as if it was about to break away from this gray world. But at this time, two extremely huge arms slowly stretched out in the gray mist. Grabbing the world that was rising from the left and right, the terrifying power burst out instantly, and the gray smoke poured into the world from the giant hands. The spiritual light covering the world and the white smoke collided violently, and a strange nothingness appeared between the two. The two forces seemed to melt like positive and negative matter, and the most terrifying thing was that no power was released. The two huge hands were full of strange existences, which seemed to be densely packed with strangeness, and ordinary life would mutate just by seeing it. In this world, a figure shrouded in infinite light looked at the two hands outside, and fear appeared on his face. Damn, how could it be? What is that? The creator of the third level was shocked, as if he had seen something incredible. A creepy feeling rushed to his heart. He acted decisively and instantly turned into a ray of light, rushing out of this world and heading outside the gray-white fog. He didn't dare to stop at all, the crisis of death enveloped him. But at the moment he rushed out of the world, the eyes of countless figures on the two giant hands were on him. This kind of gaze seemed to turn into substantial power, and instantly made his soaring body stiffen in the void. The creator burst out his mind crazily, and the brilliant spiritual light continued to vibrate. He rose up little by little, resisting the pressure of countless eyes. But strange figures appeared around him out of thin air. They grabbed him, and then the creator covered by the light was torn apart in an instant. Crack, crack, crack. In an instant, it turned into countless fragments and fell into death directly. All the bodies and limbs were swept into the gray mist. In the void, countless people saw the swallowed life nest. They also noticed that the creator inside did not escape at all. Everyone felt an incomparable threat. In the strange place, the Wanchaiwu was also facing danger at this time. The light of the true destiny enveloped the entire Wanchaiwu, but the strange power was continuously consuming the spiritual waves. And this consumption was also very fast, although it was not as fast as the recovery speed of the spiritual waves. But this was only the erosion from the gray haze and fog. The most dangerous thing was the existence in the fog, which was the thing that could destroy everything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1066. Lin Yi sat quietly in front of the French window, his eyes looking at the gray fog outside the window. A figure appeared there, he stood quietly in the fog, looming. At this time, this figure had come to the French window. A figure stuck to the French window, it was a pale humanoid object. Its body was like rubber, and it was very smooth all over. Lin Yi could feel that the other party was looking at him, although this monster did not have real eyes. This monster was very strange, he stuck to the French window and stayed there quietly. Neither came in nor left, but just looked at Lin Yi on the seat very curiously. Lin Yi also looked at him strangely, with the light of the true destiny flashing in his eyes. This strange human figure is actually just a sub-body, and there is a strange pipe connected to his back. This pipe extends all the way to the gray fog far away. At this time, similar strange existences appeared in all places up and down, left and right of the Wanchaiwu. It's just that these strange existences have different appearances, but all have a unified feature. There is a pipe connected to the back, which seems to be controlled by something. Lin Yi looked at these with a hint of surprise in his eyes. At this time, These things seemed to have received some kind of order and were squeezing into the Wanchaiwu. They slowly passed through the walls, canopy, ground, windows, etc. of the Wanchaiwu as if they did not exist. They moved very slowly, but they were strangely dangerous. After the strange creature outside the French window entered, he raised his hands, smooth skin, pale, with 5 fingers, but no fingerprints or nails. His hand slowly grabbed Lin Yi, as if to strangle him to death. But at this moment, countless blood-colored tentacles rose from all corners of the Wanchaiwu hall. They instantly grabbed the monster, and it began to decay rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few seconds, it became a waste. At this time, black hair and blood-colored tentacles appeared in every corner of the Wanchaiwu. All the invading strange beings were caught, or cut into pieces, or decayed into ashes. In the end, all the weirdness will be absorbed by the Wanchaiwu. At this time, the Wanchaiwu has integrated all the weird items in the past. Any weirdness that breaks into the Wanchaiwu will be killed instantly. The Wanchaiwu is also emitting a terrifying mental distortion force, and at the same time it is also deeply connected with the weird places around it. The Wanchaiwu and the surrounding space are merging, becoming more solid and indestructible. The power of the distorted spirit enveloped the surroundings, and even the gray-white mist was affected. A strange distorted area appeared, and those weird beings that broke into this area began to have huge problems. Their bodies always suddenly stiffened and motionless, and then they would show weird movements. As if they had become mentally retarded, some suddenly fell to the ground and squirmed weirdly. Some suddenly attacked each other and eventually died together. Others began to attack themselves and finally turned into a pile of fragments. Within a kilometer around the Wanchaiwu, everything was twisting, isolating all dangers. Lin Yi looked at the autonomous counterattack of all things and nodded with satisfaction. This is the Wanchaiwu he wanted, a fortress with self-counterattack ability. His eyes flashed with the true destiny, and he noticed the various changes in the void. A more terrifying strange figure appeared in the grey mist, attacking various life nests. At this time, the one who appeared in the Wanchi house was the human immortal Dao clone. At the spiritual level, the third clone stood here quietly, and he was constantly sending creators who broke through the third spiritual level into the void level one after another. As time passed, there would be more and more helpers around him. He also saw the changes in the void, and frowned slightly. Strange, suddenly appeared a big change. Will it affect my plan this time? At this time, he had seen some life nests swallowed by the grey mist. The most terrifying thing is that all the swallowed life nests were destroyed without even a wave. He frowned deeply, because some of the creators of these swallowed life nests had signed a contract with him. At this time, these creators almost all entered the spiritual level, and there was no time to rescue their own life nests. And he vaguely discovered a problem. Most of the life nests of creators with only the second level of the spiritual level will be located in the lower part of the void. This seems to be caused by some law in the void. Thinking of this, a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes, and more spiritual waves diffused from his body, crossing one coordinate after another, returning those creators to the void at a faster speed. But even so, Lin Yi could not make hundreds of billions of strong men return instantly. Every second, he could only make millions of strong men return at most. He shook his head slightly, knowing that this would be very troublesome. He was racing against time to compete for the right to speak in the future void. On the endless river, the harvesters seemed to have noticed the strange changes. They also reacted, and some of them no longer attacked the life nests directly, and began to rush to the lower part of the void. They fought with those strange beings rising from the grey smoke. In each life nest, the creators also began to fight back quickly. The majestic spiritual power expanded from the center of the life void to the surroundings, with one world after another as nodes, forming a huge spiritual power network. The network was covered with light, and all the life nests turned into a huge radiant sphere. and in the radiant sphere, countless worlds were rapidly approaching each other. Under the power of the mind, these small worlds were constantly merging. Because the incident happened suddenly, the creators forcibly merged countless worlds, which naturally caused landslides and various disasters. However, most of the life nests have developed for countless years and have extremely powerful command capabilities. Although a lot of dangers appeared in the fusion of the world, they were still able to keep most of the lives alive. The worlds in the life nest merged with each other, and then began to float slowly. A large number of spiritual masters who signed contracts with Linyi began to communicate with each other. They began to help each other, learn about the Life Alliance, and began to merge their life nests. This scene was also seen by the Life Alliance, but no one tried to stop it. They were also busy with their own affairs. The current situation has become chaotic. No one knows where the future will develop. Everyone is conserving their own vitality, waiting for everything to reach a balance. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1067. Time passed dozens of void days in a blink of an eye. With the help of spiritual power, countless impossible things became possible. Hundreds of billions of life nests were divided into two parts and completely merged into one. One of them was the life nest, and the other part was all the strong men who had signed a contract with Linyi. Two extremely huge worlds appeared in the void. The world was so huge that it could not be described in words, and countless civilizations descended into these two different worlds. The two worlds were slowly approaching under the huge gravitational force, and they would eventually merge into one. Because the two worlds were so huge, it was impossible to describe their hugeness in words. And because they were too huge, no life could stop this trend of fusion. Even the creators of the two worlds began to recontact. The creators who were originally defined as prey by the Life Alliance, because of Linyi's help, almost all crossed into the third level of the spiritual level. Although they did not step into the fourth level and master the existence of the ultimate spiritual power, the huge number also forced the Life Alliance to compromise. A brand new alliance was established, and they were called the Super World Alliance. It is composed of nearly 500 billion strong men at the third level of the mind. All civilizations are under the rule of this alliance and gradually merge into one. And the world has become a whole under their full promotion. The situation of the entire void has become clearer and clearer. The weirdness of the lower part of the void, the endless river in the upper part of the void, and the huge super world floating in the middle. The world formed by the fusion of countless life nests is called the super world. It means a world beyond everything. Here only the power of the mind can mobilize the rules, otherwise no power can leave the body. This place is very similar to the Doomsday world, and it seems that no supernatural power can exist. But there are extremely rich energy fluctuations in the air, extremely complex rules, and unimaginable hard materials. The life here can still practice, and there are countless practice systems. But in any practice system, the power can only be operated at will in the body. This power cannot be released to the outside world, which is caused by the world environment. If you want to cause supernatural phenomena like in the past, only the power of the mind can do it. At this time, the strange grey fog has filled nearly half of the void, and even half of the super world has been submerged in the grey fog. The harvesters of the endless river are also fighting fiercely with the weird in the grey fog. At the same time, both the weird and the harvesters are constantly invading the super world. But in the super world, the harvesters and the weird are also affected. Perhaps the rules of this world are too complicated, which causes the abnormal effects that the weird can produce here to be infinitely reduced. And when the harvesters come to the super world, they will also be greatly affected and can only attack like a simple warrior, and even cannot fly. Similarly, the existence of mastering the power of the mind can cause supernatural phenomena in this world. But the scope will also be severely suppressed, and it will no longer be able to catch stars and moons, crush the world, etc. like in the past. However, in this world, the civilization of the science and technology category will be like a fish in water. Because technology uses the real physical laws to utilize matter and energy. A completely different system from supernatural power. Therefore, technology spread rapidly in this world and became the development direction of the huge civilization of the superworld. And all this is progressing steadily under the control of all the spiritual masters of the Superworld Alliance. In particular, in order to deal with the Weird and the Reaper, the carrying capacity and communication ability of technology have become very important development directions. At the same time, a new weapon system was also developed in a short period of time. Using the power of technology, storing spiritual power, so as to kill the Reaper and the Weird. Never underestimate any civilization. The most powerful part of technology lies in its practicality and popularity. In the right civilized world environment, the power of technology is very amazing. And the spiritual energy has the existence of the strong men of the Superworld Alliance, which is almost inexhaustible. In this world, spiritual power is the first productive force, which is equivalent to nuclear weapons. And all this was completed in just a few dozen void days. Under the command of 500 billion spiritual masters of the Superworld Alliance, this efficiency is not exaggerated. If it is an ordinary earthling, it is impossible to understand this efficiency. But imagine that every spiritual master here is equivalent to a computer that can calculate the birth and death of the universe, and it is not difficult to understand why this efficiency can be so high. The fusion of civilizations was forced to be completed, and each independent life form had no choice. They could only act according to the command of the strong and appear in their respective positions. After hundreds of void days, the situation in the void stabilized. In the superworld, both the harvesters and the strange invasions were blocked under the suppression of countless civilizations and spiritual masters. And this change also shocked Lin Yi, who had fulfilled his agreement with all spiritual masters dozens of void days ago. Now he has returned to the Wanchaiwu and has been watching the changes in the void. The formation of the superworld surprised him. It was the essence of all civilizations in the entire era. His true destiny and Taoism could not see through the entire superworld. It was wrapped in infinite spiritual power and eternal nature, and its size was close to infinity. At this time, in the House of Time, the main body slowly woke up. A total of 87 eternal properties appeared in his mind, generating 87 completely different mysterious powers. At the same time, 37 handprints on his sixth true destiny lit up. This means that among his 87 eternal properties, 37 corresponded to the mysterious handprints on his true destiny. At this time, Sakuramiya Shirley and the others also woke up. Each of them condensed an imaginary Dao trace universe, forming a perfect cycle of truth. At the same time, these Dao trace universes were integrated into their fundamental spirituality, condensing an eternal nature. And this also means that they have entered the eternal level. At the same time, they can connect to the mind and guide the power of the mind to promote the eternal nature, bursting out infinite power. At the same time, the human immortal Dao clone and the third clone entered the House of Time and looked at the main body that had reached the peak. The two clones smiled slightly, with divine light flashing in their eyes. Then their bodies collapsed instantly, and two fundamental spiritualities flew out of their bodies respectively, transformed into two streams of light, and directly rushed into Lin Yi's mind and merged into one. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1068. At this moment, Lin Yi has completed all the unification. His mind is the spiritual wave sphere, and his true life is in his mind. All physical powers are just tools, and only his mind is the real him. His eyes flickered slightly, and he looked at everyone. Now everyone has stepped into the spiritual level, although you are still only at the first level. But with your talents, by integrating the eternal nature and spiritual power, you can quickly give birth to a spiritually embodied product. You are now qualified to take charge of your own business. After stepping into the second level of the soul, Wanchaiwa can open again. Lin Yi waved slightly, and in the next moment, everyone came to the hall. Brandy and others returned to their posts and started various tasks. The lights in the master room were bright, and the brandy and absinthe glasses began to be scrubbed by hand. Gin, vodka, and whiskey were cleaned before and after. The strange existence of Lafite red wine also gave birth to his own spiritual power. Start patrolling the Wanchi house, looking for harmful pests to clean up. As for Sakura Gong Shirley, she and Lin Yi sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. She looked at the outside world with an inexplicable look in her eyes. The void now has become completely incomprehensible. What should we do next? Lin Yi looked at the outside world and said with a very calm expression. We just have to survive. Go on with our business. Surely Sakuramiya nodded, it's just that we are not strong enough. There are 500 billion third-level spiritual powerhouses in the super world. The power we have here can probably be ignored in their eyes. Lin Yi smiled lightly, at least 80% of them will not go against us. That's the price they pay for me helping them. Our business will become more and more prosperous in the future. As for the masterminds behind the scenes, they will reveal their true colors sooner or later. Then the business of Wanchaiwa still follows the Void City model, surely Sakuramiya asked with confusion on her face. No, let's go back to the original pattern. It's all done by the members of the Wanchaiwa View. As for the reward, it is 1/10 of the contractor's spiritual origin. When Shirley Sakuragong heard this, she immediately knew what Lin Yi wanted. You want to collect psychic power through this method. But without killing. Yes, at my level, I can create almost all matter and energy using my mind and eternal nature. So any treasure has no meaning to us. There is only one thing that matters most to us, the power of the mind. Understood. I plan to leave all the assignment and settlement of tasks to you. Surely Sakuramiya nodded, no problem. Lin Yi nodded with satisfaction. Now that the superworld has emerged, a stable order is forming there. Whether it's the Reapers or the weird invasion, they have been controlled to a certain extent and are about to reach a balance. From what I've seen, they're building ships that can cross endless rivers. I'm afraid they have plans to support the front line, but I'm afraid they are still noisy about this matter. From now on, our goal is to go beyond the world. Helping the people there fulfill various wishes to collect spiritual power. You have all condensed the eternal nature. As long as you can hatch a concrete product of the soul, you can step into the second level of the soul. By that time, it will be a common thing to incarnate into thousands of people. You're going to have to work hard, and that's the price you pay. Surely Sakuramiya's eyes flashed, I understand, it will probably take about a dozen void days before I can complete the gestation of the concrete product of my soul. By the way, once you take on the mission, if you encounter an eternal level existence, you can try to exchange for their eternal nature. If you want to step into the third spiritual level, multiple fusion natures are necessary. At least it's simpler and more direct. New. Surely Sakuragong knew that Lin Yi wanted to train someone who could be independent as soon as possible. Only the existence of the third level of spiritual power can barely reach the average level of the current era. The Wanchaiwu View fell into silence, while the superworld was in turmoil. In the center of the superworld, in a huge palace, there is an independent time and space. 500 billion projections are gathered here, and the sound of quarrels continues here. Just listen to the vibration of a thought. There is no truth yet to the information on the endless river front. It's just Your Majesty's investigation. Is there any news about the release of the mysterious Lin Yi? It's simply not credible. Although Lin Yi's information can indeed bring the Reapers together and refine them into tools that can cross the long river. But who knows if he is an accomplice of the mastermind behind the scenes? Just to trick us into entering the endless river, and then swallow us whole. It's just that this matter has too many loopholes and is filled with countless possibilities. We must not go there because of information given by one or two people. Who knows if it's a trap? Yes, that's the truth. Unless there is convincing evidence, I will always oppose entering the endless river. Oppositions came one after another. Whether they were those who were originally at the third spiritual level, or those who had just become the third spiritual level some time ago, there were a large number of members who opposed it. In the center of the palace, on the huge stand, the emperor's figure stood quietly. I understand everyone's concerns, but this matter is not simple. I have also verified it through a special method. If this information is true, that means that the empty area we are in has experienced more than 2,800 harvests. It wasn't until a dozen times ago that the strong men in the life nest established a resistance front. Even though they should have failed, they are still resisting. If all this is true, it means we could get a lot of information from them. Information about the person behind this. There will also be huge benefits for our next choices. But now that the majority of people are opposed to it, I suggest that it is better to send an advance team. Enter the endless river, go to the mysterious front line, and see what's going on. When the advance team returns, we will know what the truth is. I propose a vote as the executor of the Superworld Alliance. For the operation of the Superworld Alliance, the strongest person is selected as the operator. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Xuanhuan Tianji. Chapter 1069. Update the latest chapter of the Wanchai View I created as soon as possible. The right of the operator to direct with votes and recommendations based on issues debated by the majority within the League. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. The voting content is to select a vanguard team to go to the endless river to explore information. The voting begins now. Beliefs quickly began to gather together, converging into three huge torrents in this huge palace. This represents three different answers in the Ultra World Alliance. Agree, disagree, and the third other options. At this time, the third other option burst out with brilliant light. The options were varied, but there was one that a large number of people agreed on. That is Lin Yi, who entrusted the House of Everything to carry the projected light of all the members of the Superworld Alliance to the front line of the Endless River to confirm the truth of everything. This option actually accounts for 3/5 of the 500 billion strong people. The Emperor's eyes narrowed slightly. All those who chose this option were those who had made a contract with Lin Yi. This made him deeply feel Lin Yi's influence on these congressmen. However, he remained calm. This Lin Yi is a huge variable. It would be very difficult to find him and kill him. The monitors can't track him, but they can take advantage of this opportunity. Send him out of the empty area. Without his troubles, everything will eventually come under my control. The plan will eventually get back on track. More than 3/5 people chose other options, and the Superworld Alliance finally made a decision. The Emperor's thoughts sounded calmly. The decision has been made, then send an envoy to contact the mysterious Wanchai Lin Yi. Just as he finished speaking, an illusory door appeared in the middle of the palace. A strange aura flickered, and Lin Yi walked out of it. You don't need to look for me, I'll do it myself. Your decision has been conveyed to me, but if you want me to go, you have to pay the price. The price is for all of you to have a message of eternal nature. You must show it to me without reservation. Lin Yi actually didn't expect that these superworld alliances would target him. However, this gave him a huge opportunity. He himself now possesses more than 80 eternal qualities. Among them, 37 eternal qualities are the madras that constitute the true destiny. It is not an easy task to find out the eternal nature corresponding to all life madra. It is necessary to continue to accumulate and obtain more eternal qualities. Now we have the best opportunity. The 500 billion level 3 spiritual masters have eternal properties that can reach tens of trillions. Each of them only needs to pay an eternal message to push his accumulation to the limit in a short period of time. Then, he can find a way to find the fingerprint corresponding to the true destiny, and then work backwards to deduce how the true destiny is formed based on the eternal nature. He never forgot that his true destiny was the basis of everything he had. But he found that it was too difficult to deduce the infinite destiny. He didn't even fully analyze the mysterious handprints that constituted other true lives. The most basic condition for deducing true destiny is to understand what true destiny is. If you want to figure out what true destiny is, you must find out all the eternal qualities that make up true destiny. And among the 87 eternal qualities that he condensed, he actually found 37 corresponding ones. This is already unimaginable luck. You know, there are trillions of eternal qualities in the void today. At this time, all the members of the Superworld Alliance in the palace were stunned when they heard Lin Yi's words. All information of an eternal nature, although precious to them, is not unacceptable. After all, Lin Yi wanted to take all of their soul projections to a mysterious unknown place to explore the truth. If one of them is bad, it may lead to death. The price is not expensive. The emperor's face was very calm, and surging thoughts echoed in the palace. Then let's start voting now according to Lin Yi's request. Countless thoughts gathered in the Golden Palace and turned into a huge torrent. Almost everyone agreed to Lin Yi's conditions and were willing to pay for all the information of an eternal nature. Let him explore the endless riverfront. Huang said expressionlessly, the Superworld Alliance has finally decided to agree to Wanchaiwu Lin Yi's conditions. Okay, since you agree to my conditions, let's sign the contract. As the words fell, countless notes appeared out of thin air in front of every council member. The complete contract content is written on it. There was a trace of strange power flashing on the note, and every congressman could feel it. However, 80% of the members directly wrote their names. Because they had already signed another agreement with Lin Yi. These people have other things in mind. The reason why Lin Yi was asked to go was because he hoped he could die there. In this case, their contract will be automatically voided. They can all feel now that there is an inexplicable and deep power in the strange grey mist. This power is always watching them. So, when they proposed this suggestion, they had already decided that this option would be implemented, and the other members of the Superworld Alliance could not refuse it. Their numbers already occupied an absolute advantage. However, this was a naked conspiracy, and even if someone opposed it, they could not disobey it. The establishment of the Superworld Alliance was also constrained by power. That was the covenant built by the spiritual power of all alliance members. Anyone who violated it would face the backlash of the power of the covenant, and even a spiritual powerhouse at the 4th level would die. This was the prerequisite for the establishment of the Superworld Alliance. It has a huge binding force on all members. Lin Yi looked at all the members of the Superworld Alliance. When will we set off? Notify me when you decide. After that, Lin Yi turned around and disappeared here without stopping. The discussion sounded again in the entire Golden Palace. Planning the process for all Lin Yi to go to the endless river. At this time, Lin Yi had returned to the Wanchaiwu. He looked at the people in the Wanchaiwu. There is a big deal this time. I will create a clone and go to the endless river. I will give you a task. Brandy and others looked at Lin Yi with confusion. You need to capture more strange beings around the Wanchi house and detain them in the Wanchi house. I'm afraid the journey will be very time-consuming this time. Everyone nodded solemnly after hearing this, understood. An eternal nature appeared in front of Lin Yi, and then, the eternal nature emitted a wonderful light and turned into a brand new Lin Yi. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1070. After entering the spiritual level and condensing the eternal properties of multiple numbers, one can easily use the eternal properties to transform into a powerful clone. And this clone can be transformed into the original body at any time, but this is achieved by Linyi through spiritual waves. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. As for whether other third-level spiritual masters can do it, he doesn't know. Linyi now has two perspectives, but he doesn't feel awkward. It's normal for him to do many things at one time. More than a dozen void days passed in a blink of an eye, and the whole superworld was busy. The members of the superworld are all building a spaceship for Linyi that can cross the endless river, according to the information obtained from Linyi using the harvester. A wonderful shuttle-shaped ship appeared in the superworld. The ship is not big, only about 3 meters, and can even be called a small boat. If you look closely, you will find a terrifying thing. The basic structure of this ship is a group of extremely tiny black-robed harvesters. They are bound together by a large amount of mental power. In order to form this ship, it took tens of millions of harvesters. This is a ship modified by the Superworld Alliance, and it was not made completely according to the information that Linyi originally distributed. All the power of this ship comes from the person driving the ship. The function of this ship itself is to withstand the erosion of the endless river. The water of the endless river has been studied by the Superworld Alliance. That kind of river water is mysterious and unpredictable, and any creature that is contaminated will be eroded. Even a strong person at the level of mental power cannot stay for long. At this time, this mysterious shuttle-shaped spaceship has been fully built, and Linyi has also arrived here. The shuttle-shaped spaceship is quietly placed in the Golden Palace. The members of the Superworld Alliance all watched the scene quietly. Huang looked at Linyi. The boat for crossing the river has been built. This is a card that contains the projections of all the counselors. Through this card, we can see everything that happened during the crossing. I hope you always carry it with you so that we can see what happened. Linyi smiled faintly. That's no problem. Then, please set off. Linyi smiled faintly. Okay. According to the contract, your remuneration must be paid in advance. Huang nodded, of course. He raised his hand and waved, and a mysterious crystal appeared in Linyi's eyes. It's all in it. This crystal looks ordinary. But there are countless light spots in it, and each light spot flashes with an eternal breath. Linyi took the crystal, swept his mind over it, and immediately perceived 500 billion different eternal nature information. Eternal nature is the most fundamental material that carries a person's thoughts, and it is produced by the fusion of the rules of the outside world. Containing the truth that is enough to evolve a nest of life, this crystal now represents 500 billion different kinds of eternal information. He raised his hand and put the crystal into his sleeve, and sent it to the Wanchaiwu, Linyi's body through the mysterious means of time and space. The deal is done, then I'll set off. You just watch here. Linyi raised his hand and waved, and the mysterious shuttle-shaped spaceship disappeared in his hand, and then his figure flashed, and he had entered the wonderful time and space level. In a blink of an eye, he had crossed an infinite distance and came to the void, which was an endless river. He waved his hand, and the shuttle-shaped boat appeared in front of him, and the spiritual wave power enveloped the boat. Then, the hull of the boat, like a stream of water, naturally revealed an entrance. Linyi stepped into it, and what he saw was an ordinary seat. As he entered, the entrance of the boat was quickly closed, and he sat quietly on the seat. The inner wall of the boat was very smooth, and the moment he sat on the seat, the black hull quickly became transparent, and he could see the outside scene from the inside. At the same time, he could feel that his thoughts were connected to the entire group. As long as he moved his mind, the group would take any action under his control. However, the operation of this ship requires the power of the mind, but with the spiritual wave, it can also drive the ship. Looking down, there is a black endless river. You can't see the end at a glance, and you don't know where it leads to. At this time, countless harvesters appeared from inside in an endless stream, and they were all frantically attacking the super world below. But they will soon be captured or killed, and then emerge from the river again. Lin Yi took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. Then let me see what secrets are in the endless river. With a thought, the shuttle pierced the void and rushed into the endless river. This shuttle-shaped spaceship is pitch black. Although the inside can see the outside cannot see the inside. It was like a ghost, silently entering the long river. As soon as it entered the long river, Lin Yi instantly felt the surging torrent. This torrent was turbulent and had infinite impact, destroying everything. The moment the shuttle-shaped boat rushed into the long river, it was swept into it by the huge force. The boat could not control itself in the torrent at all, and it spun wildly. However, Lin Yi was not worried. He quickly connected his mind with the boat and felt the direction, strength, and other data of the external torrent. Then, the power of the spiritual wave quietly injected into the boat, and with a slight tremor, the boat stabilized. A coordinate information flashed in his mind, which was left by the front line of the endless river. The direction of the coordinate was exactly the direction of the torrent. The water of the entire endless river flows from one direction to another. The front line is downstream of the torrent, which can be said to be downstream. Lin Yi keenly noticed a problem. Those people on the front line don't come back by themselves to find reinforcements. It seems that they don't want to come back, but they can't. In this endless river, it's easy to go downstream, but it's almost impossible to go upstream. But these harvesters seem to have the ability to go upstream. At this time, the boat has gone downstream, and Lin Yi can see a large number of harvesters coming from downstream. But compared to the entire endless river, they are also very small and rare. In the endless river, there seemed to be a force that could destroy everything. Nothing could exist except the reapers. Lin Yi had already placed the spirit card on a small platform next to him. Thoughts flashed in the spirit card, and the members of the Super World Alliance were observing the scene outside the shuttle boat. It was pure silence, except for the occasional reapers. There was nothing, as if it was a land of despair.